on the run.
By the way, his website's getbillsbook1.com. Getbillsbook, the1.com, or BonnerandPartners.com.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered with the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today and get your free wire stand with the purchase of a ProPure Big Water Filtration System. Or call 1-888-253-3139.
This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage or your home kitchen. Purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Alex Jones, and we are at the halfway point in this Thursday worldwide 7th day of August 2014 transmission. Now, America won World War II. We were the good guys by every yardstick, and we became the world reserve currency. They had the Bretton Woods Agreement where the dollar became the currency of the planet. And slowly that began to get abused. And economists warned of it across the board and said we'll end up like Weimar Germany down the road. Mexico's done similar things. Argentina. Every country has done this basically at one time in their history, one way or another. And it always ends, sometimes a generation or two later, in disaster. And that's what economist Bill Bonner, BonnerandPartners.com, his new book, Hormageddon, is breaking down. And I want to get in to the book. I want to talk about the fact that you can go to getbillsbook1.com. He wanted to just come on and talk about the economy, but I've got the breakdown from the website on it. You can go there and get a hardback edition of the book before it's available anywhere. You can get an electronic copy and get a great compendium of America called The Idea of America, a full year of Bill's new publication called The Bonner Letter. And number 5, you can get a special #1 report, Bill Bonner's Trade of the Decade. And number 6, you can get special report #2, the Bonner Family Wealth Blueprint. And he didn't come on to do this today, but I read his stuff, so I'm plugging it for him. When you go to his website, getbillsbook1.com, you can sign up and get all of that for $49. You'll receive that. And I'm telling you, just one of the newsletters for a year, it's a value at $49. You get 6 different things all there on the website. You can sign up for that at getbillsbook1.com or bonnerandpartners.com. You can also navigate over there as well. So he joins us here today to go over all this. So, Bill, again, I want to give you the floor to really encapsulate all this for people, but take your time at the same time. I mean, if you take 20 minutes, it's encapsulating it. So you're telling the story of Weimar Germany. I think we should go back to that. And then I was asking you the question selfishly and for my audience. I know it's very technical. That's why it's in the book and in the newsletters. But just a gestalt, how have you protected yourself? What do you really think the time frame is? I know no man knows, all this stuff because only God knows that stuff. Even the globalists with their control.
No. It might be a year out, might be 5, might be 10. You don't know. These things tend to last longer than you expect. But I think anybody would be foolish not to be protected now because you never know. This thing could, we're seeing some sell-off in the market now. We're seeing a lot of skittishness. We're seeing, those Russian troops at the border. Who knows? You never know. So you got to be prepared. And the preparation this time, I think, should be better than ever because, the last time we've had a serious problem in the country, in the United States of America, was during the 30s. And the 30s was the Great Depression, of course, everybody knows. But during the 30s, people could still get by because a quarter of the country still lived on the farm. And those people who didn't live on the farm hadn't been off the farm for very long. And the society did not depend on being able to go up to an ATM machine, put in a plastic card, and get something come out of that machine that was worth something that you could buy something with.
Bingo.
Now, all that stuff, this is something I don't think anybody really understands. But the more complex, the more sophisticated a society becomes, the less it can afford to have this kind of central planning, meddling in the economy.
The easier the breakdown. The easier the breakdown.
Screw it up.
Yeah.
They're going to screw it up, and we're seeing this major mess that they've made, which yet has not been revealed, and most people don't even know what's going on. But they've driven up the amount of credit in society to $50 trillion. And if credit had remained as the same percentage of GDP as it had been for the last 50 years, today we'd only have about $33 trillion worth of credit. And so that $33 trillion that's the money that people have spent over the last 40 years, and mostly over the last 10 or 20 years.
Well, how does the increased credit? Sure. How does the increased credit? And then I want you to continue. End up wrecking society because before they did all this fake credit, this country had 10% growth rates for the first 140 years or so of its existence, and then once all the Federal Reserve meddling got involved in 1913. They took regional problems and regional runs and, companies that were frauds going belly up, and they just expanded it and wrote it large.
Oh, that's exactly right. Before, companies would go broke, whole banks would go belly up, things would happen, and they would have crises in the economy. And in 1921, for example, there was a crisis, and stocks fell, and they fell, I think they fell down about 30%, and there was a depression. 1 out of 10 people was thrown out of work in 1920. But that depression was over in 18 months. 18 months later, there was full employment. How did that happen? Well, it happened because the meddlers were not in office and they weren't meddling with the economy and preventing the process of healing. In order for an economy to heal, things have to fall down to the level where people want to buy them, and they buy them, and then they start investing again, and the thing gets going again. I mean, that's no mystery. That's been going on for a long time. But now we have a system where it's entirely different. And that system, by the way, had to work that way because they did not have an unlimited amount of money to save industries, to save investments, to save people. They couldn't. There was no Fannie Mae back then, and they didn't have the money to save it if it got into trouble.
Bill, I want you to continue. This is so important, but just me personally, I mean, and my family and everybody else that I know that's somewhat successful or understands economics are totally freaked out. Governments are digging in, buying armored vehicles and weapons, and the Pentagon admits they believe we're going to have a collapse down the road. So what you're saying in the thinking public is prima facie, known to be true, and you and others predicted it before it was, you know, popularly known. What I'm asking you is, it's so scary when you talk about 90% of people were somewhat self-sufficient and rural in the 10-year Great Depression, and we had millions of people homeless and millions that starved and deaths and all the rest of it. It was a disaster. Now we have 90% urban, 10% rural. Half the rural people, it's estimated, even by the Department of Defense, are self-sufficient. My God, if we have a breakdown now of a complex system like this with meddlers, it could turn into a Road Warrior meets The Road meets Armageddon. Is that what Hormageddon is?
That's what it's about. It describes what happens when things really go bad, and they really go bad in a collective way when the central planners get to work and pick at it. And that was what I was telling you about the German example. That was really what was going on, was Adolf Hitler was an economist who had a plan for Germany's future, how to make it better, and he stuck with that plan until the country was absolutely destroyed. There was hardly a factory working in Germany in 1945. The whole country was flattened. It was invaded, half occupied by the Allies, half occupied by the Russians, and it was an absolute, total disaster, catastrophe. The same thing had happened with the previous invasion of Russia, led by Napoleon, in which he went in with 300,000 troops and came back with 10,000 troops. I mean, these are disasters on a massive scale. And what we're looking at now is the same caliber of disaster in finance and economics, something that has never happened before in the history of the world, and is happening now because the leaders of the biggest economy, the most influential monetary power on the planet, have been doing something for the last 50 years, which is fundamentally very, very stupid. And we and our children are going to reap the results of that, which is going to be one of these Armageddon-type catastrophes where everything goes wrong. Everything. You go to the ATM machine, it won't work. There won't be enough cash. You know, what happens in this hyperinflation is the printing presses can't run fast enough. You can't get enough cash to make it work. And I'm indebted to Gary North, who pointed out a lot of this stuff back in the year 2000 when he was talking about the Y2K disaster. We didn't have a Y2K disaster, but he had delved into it, and he figured out how much we are now dependent on computerized information systems. And that was in the year 2000. Now it's 2014, and we're much more dependent. Everybody, if you want to get a cab, you got to get on your portable computer. I mean, it's really funny in some ways, but it's absolutely true that people can't live for more than a couple days. You know, these systems of communication, of delivery, logistics, and all that break down, and they all, by the way, they all run on money. And the money system breaks down, everything breaks down. That's exactly what happened in Germany in the Weimar Republic. It's what happened recently in Zimbabwe. But those were relatively primitive societies. Even Weimar Germany is very civilized, of course, but people lived on farms. Like 90% of the people lived on farms. We don't have that situation in America. We depend on systems that work. We depend on money that works. And to put this money out there, to encourage this kind of crazy system where you think you can improve the economy by printing more of it, it's just criminal.
Well, Bill, I understand that.
It's a disaster of a biblical proportion.
Well, let's talk about what that disaster could look like and what could precipitate it. I mean, we already see sanctions on Russia hurting Russia, the EU, and the U.S., and the stock market going down because of it. I mean, it seems the meddling could actually accelerate this demise, A. B, is there a way to turn this around or have a soft landing?
Well, I'll answer B first. The answer is no, because that's the nature of Armageddon. And Armageddon starts up, there's no stopping it. And there's no stopping it because it